I was told to choose 10 images based on 10 topics that I got from Leslie, so I'm being kind of very pedagogic here in my approach. So, who am I was the first question. These are my 3 kids on a beach in southern Florida last fall. As my introduction said, I am a single father, so my life looks very different the weeks that I have my children versus the weeks that I don't. It's an interesting concept. If you're a single parent, you know what I'm talking about, and if you're not, you have no clue. But trust me, it's interesting. What was our business idea? I would imagine that there are quite a lot of tech businesses that come through here and say how they failed. My business is probably just about as far away from tech as you could possibly imagine. As I look around, I see the demographics here, and there probably aren't a lot of parents here who have kids maybe in the 8 to 13 range. If you do, and you lived in Malmö or Lund, then you probably know this. This is our mascot. The name is Skattkammaren. For those who don't do Swedish, it's Treasure Island. And it was a small chain of indoor playlands. We had one in Malmö and one in Lund. Yes? What went wrong? Yeah, it's really hard to choose one image when there were about 10 million things that went wrong. But at the end of the day, and after 6 years of fighting, the reason that it was actually somewhat easy to just kind of throw our hands up and walk away was, bottom line, it was greed. Everything from partners who tried to push us out of the business once they realized this could be a great success, to landlords not signing things and not giving us full disclosure in contracts. And if you're kind of reliant on 1,000 square meters or 10,000 square foot to run your business, that's your single biggest expense. If your landlord's dishonest to you, you're in big trouble. It was just when we finally closed the Lund location, which happened about 2 years after we closed Malmö down, we just kind of said, we're tired of fighting. We're tired of fighting with people, with suppliers, with customers, with employees, all who basically were just there with their hand out. And I understand people are in business to make money, but when you say you're going to do something, I expect you to do it. And you can get paid for it, and you can get a fair price for it, but don't come back to me then 3 weeks later when you haven't done it, and now ask me for more money to do this and this and this. And so if I had to say one of those million things that went wrong, it was greed that honestly just made us say, it's okay to walk away from this. What did I do wrong? Well, that kind of says it all. I'm a dreamer. I'm an optimist. And I think going into the business, we had this idea, and when I say we had this idea, it was my wife at the time. We had this idea it was going to be a cozy little family business. We had 2 kids at the time, and actually then a third one kind of showed up before we opened up the Lund location. And again, for those of you who are not parents, kids really don't just show up, but she happened to about 2 weeks before we opened the Lund location, and we really thought we'd be able to take our kids to work with us, and it was just going to be great. And I don't think we really realized how hard it is to run, for lack of a better term, a retail business, a business where you're catering to the public, and that public could be anywhere from one customer on a really sunny, warm day to 389 customers on a really crappy, cold, rainy day. So bringing your kids to a place like that, it just never kind of worked out. Personal life. This doesn't seem... So what did I do wrong? I think that I took everything kind of on my own, on myself. I felt alone quite a bit. As I said, we had a partner who, once we opened the location in Malmö, and it basically really took off before even he realized how much work it was, tried to push me out of the company, and I tried to stand strong, and I didn't necessarily take the advice and the help that was available to me. So at some point, that kind of came crashing down, and the constant battles and the constant fighting, again, everything from landlords to employees to customers, this is how it made me feel towards the end. So this is still, I think, under what I did wrong. Next slide. What did it do to my personal life? Well, I'm certainly not here to blame my divorce totally on our failing businesses, but it certainly didn't help. It ruined, took a toll on my health anyway, which included an overnight stay in the hospital for chest pains. This is getting very serious, I know, but the good thing about that stay was they gave me a stress test the next day, and they just kind of threw me out and said, you got the heart of a man 10 years younger than you. So that was a good thing. So I really didn't want to make people depressed, but I think I need to kind of explain all of the bad, I'm allowed to say shit, the bad shit that happened. I'm allowed to say shit here tonight, that's good. So personally, it really took a toll on my relationship with my now ex-wife. Next. The moral of the story was, for me anyway, is that I needed to believe more in myself. I know what I just said was that I didn't take the help that was there, but I think I was so filled with doubt about all of the constant battles that we had. We had a great concept, we had a great idea, and I think that had I truly believed more in myself, then all of the battles wouldn't have worn me down so much. I got so burned out by the business that I think it was a totally savable business, but by the time all was said and done, I had no energy left. So believing in myself and feeling like the choices that I was making were right for the business, I think would have given me back the power and given me back the energy that possibly could have saved the business. Next. What did I learn? I learned that I'm really good at planting things. I learned that I'm really good at the beginning of things. What I didn't like was that 6 years later, I was still in the kitchen warming up meatballs and pasta for kids. So I would never be a good person to be on an assembly line putting on a tire 72,000 times a year. Not the same thing. So starting up things, being in a field or an industry where no 2 days look the same, that's what I'm really good at. So fucking up for me was this epiphany that it's okay to start a business, but just think about very clearly what that business is going to look like, not 3 weeks after it opens, not even 3 years after it opens, but maybe 6 or even 10 years after it opens, so that I know that I'm not stuck doing the same thing over and over again. Next. I don't know how I'm doing on time. Yeah? Okay. What else that I learned was that it's okay to lead, but it's also okay to build a good team. To have a team that can support you, that can help you answer questions. As an entrepreneur, especially when you're on your own and you don't have 12 co-founders, you can feel very lonely. There are a lot of resources out there, but obviously I'm not Swedish. So the first few years, it was very difficult for me to reach out to those resources, not really speaking the language. Yes, there were a lot of helpful people who spoke English, but in a foreign country, I didn't really understand how things worked. So one of the things that I learned was that if I was ever going to start a business where I wasn't able to do it on my own, it would be to build up a good team, but don't be afraid to actually lead the team based on your vision and share that vision with them. Next. What would I do differently? Get everything in writing. Leslie even mentioned before something about contracts, so I said, I think this is my last slide. This is kind of a good last slide to go on. I mean, from the partnership agreement that never came to fruition because there was always this and this thing, why it could never be signed, and when he tried to throw me out of my company, I realized why he didn't want to sign a partnership agreement. All the way to when your landlord tells you something about the building that you're now hiring for 70-something thousand crowns a month, you better make sure that what he's telling you is actually appropriate, because that was not quite right either. So get stuff in writing. My older brother owns a business. He had a partnership agreement. They put in so many clauses that they said, we'll never use that, we'll never use that, we'll never use that. And he told me before I started, they've used every single clause in that partnership contract they never thought that they would use, with one exception. No partner has actually ever died while they were still having, but that was in there too. What if a partner dies? What happens? Right? So that's in there too. So the point is be very clear. And the last was advice for entrepreneurs. So I know this was a bit of a downer, but for me, fucking up is about learning. And it's opened my eyes to see what I don't want in a business anymore. But it's also opened my eyes to be much more realistic, before I open a business. So those of you who are sitting here and saying, yeah, I want to run a business, and then you heard my presentation, you go, oh shit, what the hell do I say do it, but do it with your eyes open. You have to be honest with yourselves. If you're not honest with yourself, you'll find out very quickly.